attraction. Hey folks, I am currently going through a separation, divorce. This is not what I want at all, but it is what it is. I have been married about 4 years and I seem to marry someone who I had no business marrying. Meaning, I didn't know I married a runner. I have known her since I was 12. We didn't start dating until we were in our mid-20s. We had a ton of fun early on, but then the problems started to arise. The last time that we had fun together was back in 4 years ago, and that was the year that we decided to try and conceive a child together. Fast forward to 3 years ago, and with no pregnancy we started to think there was a problem, so we both got checked out. Come to find out, I have a low S count and she has piece of crap. This is when we started living in the land of if. This land is the land of whether or not you are going to be parents or not, and it literally gutted our entire relationship from us. We decided to try IVF, which consisted of daily shots and daily ultrasounds, which is a hell of a way to live being a woman. Later, we found out that the wife needed to have a procedure before we could proceed. Another roadblock, another hurdle. We made it through that and it was time to try and have a child. It is now 2 years ago. So, on our first attempt we got pregnant and we had a beautiful baby girl that was born last February. We got everything that we had been working toward. We set everything up so well, but we forgot one important thing along the way: our relationship. After 3 years of trying to have a child and being married for 4, my wife no longer is in love with me and feels that we do not connect, that I do not get her, like other people from her past. She wants to divorce and we have now been separated about a month. She feels like I have neglected her during the IVF because I was in school during that time and working during the day just to advance in my career. We decided that she did not have to work during the IVF because I make more than enough to support our family. We have gone to MC and it generally takes 2 to work on a relationship, but she has completely checked out. She wants the divorce and I have accepted my fate. I feel guilty, down, unsure, lost, cloudy. The usual when you are mourning the loss of a relationship. I am really pissed because now I have a 1-year-old daughter that I feel is getting completely hosed from all of this. She didn't ask for this, but she sure is stuck in the damn middle of it. The STBXW and I are communicating fairly well, with some heated moments from time to time, but I have lost all the will to fight. I have fought for our marriage for about 6 months and nothing hurts more than trying when the other person does absolutely nothing in return. It is like sticking your hand in fire. How many times are you going to do it over and over again until you learn? Well, I learned and I stopped. I am 31 and I feel like I just blew my one shot at having the family that I always dreamed about. Even though I am not the one initiating this, I made a choice in a person. I took a leap of faith. I followed my heart, and it brought me to an absolute living hell. My wife is the type of person that is all flight when things get hard. She has told me that she has felt this way during the beginning stages of IVF. What really gets me is why she should go through with having a child with me only to want to divorce me 6 months after the child was born. I cannot fathom the thought of this, and it is something that I must not dwell on. My wife was the youngest of 3. She had a pretty terrible upbringing. Her mother played favorites, and her father worked, drank all of the time. There has been neglect throughout her entire existence with her family, and at the age of 17 she ran away from the home life she so much hated. Her brother would literally beat on her even at later ages of 16 to 17, and the mother never stepped in. This is really neither here nor there, but it paints a picture as to what I have been dealing with. There are many unresolved issues from her past that I did see, but figured she had worked them out. However, when she ran away from home, she actually ran up to where her brother was going to college, unable to find him. Some other college guys took her in, drugged her, and ex her. I knew all this prior to marriage, but I literally love this girl and she seems to not have any issues with what happened. I feel terrible for the life that she has had, and I want to take care of her the rest of her life. But all she knows is chaos and literally is bringing me into her world. My STBX gets overwhelmed easily. She is a great mom, but multitasking just isn't in her glue. When it hails, whether bad, she cries, she's scared, and she looks to me as a father figure. She treats me as a father figure and to this day still comes to me when she is hungry. She even cried the other night because I cooked for myself and didn't include her. Now, some may think that this is from the separation that she wants, but it is not just that. It has always been like this. I unfortunately have never known this relationship to be an equal endeavor of people working together because I enabled this the entire time. I have been hit, slapped, kicked, punched, and called about every negative thing you can imagine that comes to me. I am, for all intents and purposes, a damn rug sweeper. I am terrible with having a spine. I am terrible for standing up for myself. And I absolutely crumble when people yell and scream at me. When we would ever have a disagree, I would yield. If I pushed, she wanted to get divorced. I had no voice because she deals in black and white ultimatums, and the fear of losing her made me keep things in that I should have been able to voice. I crave physical touch, and the only time I was able to get that would be through the bonding we had about once a week, that I would always have to ask for. I don't even want bonding, just a hug and a kiss, which she dislikes doing. from time to time. But that wasn't her thing after a while, so I stopped expecting it and put it under the rug. This all started about 2 years in, the time the infatuation begins to wane and the relationship begins to need work in order to survive. You tend to, however, learn from your spouse on how to act and how to be in the relationship and the boundaries that are given. I learned that from her, and now since I didn't do those things I was punished. My father has a short temper, too short. My mother is a rug sweeper. My father is the screamer. I have heard him yelling my entire life and hated him for that, so I guess in the end of things I took what my mother does. Ignore it. This has caused me to have a terrible confrontation skill. But again, it is hard to argue when instantly you are given an ultimatum. I have not been a man for a long time. I have not been my own person for a long time. All I know now is I have a wonderful daughter and a wife that hates me. By doing everything that she wanted, letting her stay home, getting her a home, marrying her, I have failed her as a man. The person she was attracted to be a fun-loving guy, who was carefree and fun to be around. But the guy she has now is broken, stressed, and beaten and does not know which end is up now. I know now, though, that this woman was not the person I needed to marry. I rushed into things because she wanted to marry or leave, which in itself is just dumb. But when you are in love with someone and you do not want to lose them, we are able to look past these things. She has told me so many things, the good old, I love you but not in love with you crap, that her exes got her and I don't. We don't connect, and flat out I am done with you. Thank you, drive through. I have heard this for about 1.5 years now. I listen. I try to fix things, but you know how it goes. The harder you try, the more you push people away. So here I am sleeping in the basement. She gets the bedroom, and we are going to be doing a divorce as soon as the house sells. Here is the plan. I want to see my daughter as much as possible. I love her to pieces and want to be the best father I can be. To suffice this, we have spoken about doing the divorce in phases. Phase 1, buy a duplex, we each live on one side. This might sound crazy, but it gives me peace knowing that I am able to see my daughter every day for now until her schooling starts. Now, issues may come, like when the STBX starts dating, but I am so far disconnected that I do not care if she dates. It will all be worth it to me to see my daughter. During the phase, we have agreed upon not bring our new endeavors around the daughter until a time that it becomes serious. If this is not followed through, it will be a deal breaker and courts will be involved. I am going to pay for the entire living expenses of both places, which actually saves me money instead of trying to pay for two, because the STBX has been out of work for about 3 years now, and alimony and child support will be brought to the table otherwise, which I can fight. But why fight it and spend more money than it will cost you anyway? After a time of 3 to 4 years, when the daughter starts school, the STBX will start her back in her career. My question to you all, even though I have rambled a bunch, is doing this divorce uncontested, allowing my STBX to literally not have to change a thing, to still not work, but my daughter's life will be the least unaffected this way. Am I giving up too much? Am I again sweeping this under the rug? I feel good with the plan. I do not feel like my boundaries are being crossed, because this is what is best for my daughter's life, to have us both in it for her at this time whenever she needs us. The separation. I forgot the most important part of the story. It started as they all do. She needed some space. Nothing more, nothing less. Just was tired of me always being there. Sorry we were married. Sorry you disowned your entire friend base. I never asked her to do that. She chose me and neglected her friendships. I always told her to go out. She never listened. It was gradual. She wanted the walk-in closet to herself. I obliged. It is a closet after all, and I moved to the other bedroom. Just my clothes. She loved having her own closet. She was happy. I was happy. Then she started to say things like she was unable to tell me everything that was on her mind because of the way I would react to it. Like how she contacted her ex to show him pictures of our child, or how she missed talking with another ex because she knew I wasn't mature enough to handle those conversations. All the while telling me how she connected with these people unlike the way she connects to me. I became extremely uneasy anytime these guys would be brought up. Not sure how most guys would react, but I think anyone in their right mind would not like to talk about these things, and to be told that your spouse can't open up and be honest with you just seems to miss the mark a bit. After the above conversation, I began to notice things. The gut feeling began to take over. I noticed she never left her phone on the table anymore. It was always by her side. When I would get up and walk by her, she would turn the screen. I noticed she was on Facebook a ton, which she was completely against me having one, but now she had one. I brushed this under the rug, shrugged it off, and decided she hasn't done anything to betray my trust so far. Let it go. Then the body pillow came, the wall in the bedroom, the yelling at me for snoring and not being able to sleep. So, she asked me to sleep in the other bedroom during the week. I obliged. The baby had been getting her up. We all need sleep, I rationalized. I even got up until about 4 a.m. most nights, even when I had to work the next day to help her out and when I get home. Still to this day, I take over until bedtime and she will either leave or sleep. I think she has given my daughter 6 bathes. Anyway, back on point. I get up one morning and she says she thinks we are too much like brother and sister. And more of the I love you but not in love with you, and she wants to separate. I tell her we are going to MC first. She agrees, but says she wants a divorce and maybe this will help us work through the issues that arise. I thought, hell, maybe MC will help. Maybe they will show her the error in her ways. But the error was in my ways. I am simply not what she wants anymore. The error was it takes two for MC to work. I went to MC, cried as I heard her say things like, we don't connect, she can't stand my smell. I don't stink, it's a pheromone thing, and that she loved the past BFs differently than the way she feels for me. She has an ex from when she was in her early 20s, someone I think she never really got over, someone she has always been drawn to contact, someone she ran to when she was dealing with IVF to cry to, instead of me. Because I was in school. Which lead her to feeling neglected. She still won't admit that she is seeing someone. The signs all point to yes, and I am no idiot. I have only asked twice and refused to ask again, because we are separated, and I guess that means people can do whatever they choose to do. All I know is now she is leaving 3 to 4 days a week, staying gone for 24-hour periods, dressing nice, wearing tons of makeup she never wore before, just being different. Someone I do not know. I noticed miles of the car are flying by. I noticed gas going from full to empty. And I know this guy lives an hour or so away, and I know she has run back to him and caused a wake of destruction in her quest for true romance. It's obvious, but alas I do not care. It is a weird feeling letting someone go and focusing upon you and your daughter. Separating emotions for the better good. It is what it is, I guess. Here are my issues with that. Daughter didn't ask to be in this world. We had to go through a lot to get her here. Her life is more important in these upcoming years than my own. I know my daughter is not my entire life, but she is in fact a huge part of my life and happiness. Not seeing my daughter daily, not seeing her to bed, will honestly break me. The pain from that will be worse than any guy my STBX brings home. I do not want my daughter in daycare at this point in time. The less she has to change through this the better, and she stays at home with mom now, so I really do not want to change that. We will not be living under the same roof. Well, yeah, the same roof, but it would be 2 separate living quarters. We will for all intents and purposes be neighbors. I cannot afford 2 places, and this financially is the soundest option. I can deal with seeing my wife with someone else, and I believe that she can with me as well in the future. This will just be temporary, and when we move out eventually to get our own places, which again will be close to one another, I can either rent the place out or sell it and get all the investment back. I am not obsessed with doing what is right. It is just the right thing to do. Had an okay day yesterday all considering. The STBXW and I spoke some on the post-divorce, hashing out more of the details. I can tell I am healing because I can actually talk to her without breaking down in tears and not becoming an emotional wreck. I just cannot believe sometimes that the person sitting across the room is someone that I was actually attracted to at one time before all of this started. I honestly cannot see why I fell in love with her at this point, but I digress. That is probably from the moving on and all the pain she has created in my world. I do not want resentment. I want indifference. I do not want to be angry, and I want to keep everything as amicable as possible for all parties involved. The court systems are out of control with the expenses, and I believe that 2 grown adults can come together and tackle something as emotional as divorce, just as long as everyone is level-headed. I hope I can do this. It is hard to not get mad sometimes. My daughter turns 1 this Saturday. We are having a birthday party for her and doing my family first than the STBX. I wish the elephant wouldn't be in the room, and I wish this occasion could be as special as it truly can be. I have been praying to have the strength to endure during the party and actually give my daughter the best first birthday that I can be capable. I really hate dreading my daughter's first birthday. Puts me in a really bad place. Pray for me. So, this weekend I had a D-Day, which just happened to be on my daughter's first birthday. She let me know all about her new boyfriend, who happens to be her ex from before, and how much happier she is with him than me. She then proceeded to tell me that has happened post-separation, but I know that is not the case. I am seeing everything with a new light. I see her as a liar, and she is hurting me so much. The mind movies have started, and I know now that a duplex is off of the table. She let me know how bad of a lover I am and let me know that I am not a man. She has been saying that I am too emotional to handle this like an adult, and that she feels like she is married to a woman because of how upset I am. I feel like a failure, I feel gross, and I feel like I am not good enough. She has completely made me feel inadequate as a man. I need to stop letting her have this control, but it is hard when the person you thought you loved and the person you have feelings for starts to say the meanest things. I have no escape either because we are in the same house. She was gone all day yesterday, and she was sure to let me know that she was going to her boyfriend's. It really hurts being left in the wake of other people's choices. I need help. I need out. I love living in a no-fault state. We have been going over details of how to split my daughter up and how much money I am going to have to pay. We are most likely going to do Monday, Tuesday, Wed, then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and rotating Sunday. My first question with you all with children: What do you all do? Having a hard time sleeping, knowing when she leaves, she is running off to another man. And the venom she has been spitting has me questioning whether or not I was a terrible person. I know she is just projecting and making her entire affair validated in her head, but still. When someone you still care for greatly says things to you, you tend to still listen to them when you know it is wrong to. I know I was a good husband. We made it so she did not have to work and stay home with the child. I got her the house she wanted. I built this entire life for her that she pushed for, and once we finally have the daughter. That took 3 years to have. She ups and runs to another man's arms from her past. Not sure why I wasn't enough, not sure what else I could have done, but I know now there is nothing else I can possibly do to save this marriage. And it hurts like hell. So, I will put a smile on my face, get the house sold, split my time with my daughter. Give my STBX $800 a month and figure out how the hell to live again. Duck this. STBXW finally started to see that child support and maintenance are not going to be enough through her parents today. They pretty much told her people are not going to rent to her without a job. All this really means now though is that it just increases the chances on moving in with the other guy. I told her today if she did that, as a concerned father, that it was absolutely nuts moving in with her ex. Well now boyfriend, cannot wait to deal, grieve when my daughter is around those two. The home wrecker and the wayward wife. What a great thing for my daughter to see. Cannot wait till they break up and she gets to see how to be in a great relationship in the future. I have to find someone so I can show her what a relationship is supposed to be. I do not want her to be like her mother. My STBX does not know how to love. She learned that from her parents. Every day I see it more and more. I love laying on the couch at night taking care of my daughter while my wife is out with her new man and her new life. Makes me sick. She is in such a fog right now that it is scary. She has no idea the consequences for her choices. She still speaks to me like we are in a relationship sometimes. I ignore her and walk away, but then she will ask why I am being like that. I respond, I do not really have anything to say to you anymore. She really does not get what a separation, divorce is. I hate that there is another man. Really puts a damper on that good old self-esteem. I wish I was enough sometimes. Had a hard day this weekend. Was another birthday party for my daughter with all of the STBXW's family. Half of them know, the other do not. Some asked when we were moving and where to. Some asked when we were planning on having more children. Making golf plans this summer with my brother-in-law that will never come to fruit. Was just a day of being fake. Was exhausting. We are putting the house for sale, but the STBXW is getting overwhelmed so naturally it gets punted to me. I will take care of it so I can get the hell out of there. I am slowly losing my sanity with her adultery being so in my face with her coming and going to see him. I started going back to church again. Exercising has been a hit or miss thing. Sometimes I am just so down I cannot do it. My STBXW doesn't have a filter. She is a huge word vomit type. Comes from never being hurt as a child. She is an extremely emotional person to a point of near insanity sometimes, which causes her to fight dirty. There really is no way to shake it, I think. I asked her to not talk about him to me anymore. I asked her to please be respectful. But the cat is out of the bag and I live there. I see her dressed up. I see the intimate shower wash when I shower. I see her when she comes home late at night to get the baby monitor. I just see everything now. Not really sure how she can keep it from me because when she leaves now, I know from the way she is dressed, smells, where she is going. I have told her that she disgusts me and have told her that it really hurts my inner being. But alas, she is in the fog and thinking that she has all the answers through this relationship. I am just kind of stuck and the only way out is to sell the house. Really just need to monitor how I am doing day to day. This is still fresh though. Only found out 100% a week ago. Prob just going through the motion. Learned today what separation is. The day that we decided the marriage was over. That is good, because we have been separated a few months now. In Illinois you have to wait 6 months. Doing this uncontested is nice. Just have to swallow the emotions from time to time. Just feel a bit better because I am not going to be trapped in this nonsense for as long as I imagine. I have had a few decent days in a row. Feels a little bit like letting go. I am a little afraid of it, but I am feeling a little bit more normal the last few days. I know it will not last forever, but I have it now and I am going to hold on to it as long as I can. We are going to still do the divorced uncontested. We have agreed to the following. $750 a month for support. 3-day rotation with daughter with a rotating 4th day. Joint custody. We are not allowed to take daughter more than 15 to 20 minutes from one another. Living arrangement. Whomever pays insurance gets to claim daughter on taxes. Me. Money is split, and assets I do not care about enough to fight over anything. I don't know much else to worry about. Does anyone have anything that I am missing? I am at peace with this and we are going to use LegalZoom to get all of the paperwork pushed through. Another day down. One day closer to being happy again. Been a light today. The blues won. Had a great day with my daughter. Putting the house for sale tomorrow. Meeting with the real estate lady. I pray daily that this house sells fast. Would be hectic, but it would be a huge step to getting all of this over with. I didn't want this, but there is no going back now. Anything that can happen to get me past all of this, the better. I have only been separated for about 3 months. I honestly cannot even fathom dating someone else. Being still emotionally in love with my STBX. I want to give someone a fair shake, and Lord, do I know that I couldn't be with anyone else currently. I also am of the mindset that I am still married and will not date anyone until the D is finalized. Call it pride or whatever, I just would feel like I am cheating, even though the STBXW is currently deep into a relationship. Well, she is out with her new man and her new life tonight. Won't be home till the morning. I have got to get over this. I just do not know how to even comprehend this. I am definitely accepting it. But when an affair is so blatantly in your face all of the time, it absolutely sucks the air out of my lungs. I love trying to go to sleep at night, knowing full well what is going on with another man. My daughter deserves better than this. Well, the house went for sale and we already got an offer one day later of what we are asking. They are in love with our house. Yeah, I am too. If this house goes, it will be one of the last links I have in order to move to divorce. Trying not to look back, trying to accept that this life that I had is slowly slipping away. That the memories from this house will be just that, memories. There is no future here. Realizing that when the house sells that I am going to be not seeing my wonderful daughter every day. There is nothing good that comes from this. Nothing at all. I lose when I win. Just finished up working out. Was a good one. I have been angry all day and the STBXW left to go see him. Oh well, I am struggling with the feeling of not having control over my life. It is not fun having to change everything because of someone's choice. Not really sure how to wrap my head around that. But when you marry someone, you truly put your trust and faith in someone else to take care of your feelings, and when they don't, the loss we feel is ridiculous because we never expected the person we love and adore to do these things to us. This scares the hell out of me to a point where I will have issues trusting someone fully in the future. At least that is how I feel now. I guess that is just a sign that I am not ready yet. Just lonely, I guess, and she gets to have those needs met while going through this. I swear I am losing everything and she is gaining everything. I am not trying to find an answer to why she left, but she hits all the traits to a T. It almost scares me how accurate that it describes her. I have been walking on eggshells this entire marriage trying to make her happy. The resentment that she holds is unbelievable. I have not been myself for a long, long time. I gave all I had and, in the end, it wasn't enough, because it was never enough. She wanted to move in. She wanted to get married immediately. She wanted to get a house. She wanted a baby. She got all the things that she thought would make her happy. But now she is just left with no more goals in her unhappy self, so she found someone else that is her knight in shining armor. I wish I could help her, but I know I cannot. Last night was blah. My STBXW told her brother last night what is going on. He is one of the very few that has a good head on his shoulders and will speak his mind. They spoke for 2 hours and it really affected her. They spoke about her childhood, being neglected, abused, etc. They spoke about her being ex. They spoke about her anger and issues that they both have. I came upstairs and ran into her and I could tell she was shaken. I asked. I shouldn't have, but I did. Are you okay? I don't like seeing her upset and I can almost sense it from all of the times she has been upset in the past. I can see it in her eyes. She rambled a bit, but at the end she made a statement that shattered me. Maybe it's me. Maybe I have issues in relationships from my dad never being home, from being neglected. Maybe I will never have a good relationship because I expect this grand TV type thing. She turned over a leaf, even though it was a small one, but she might just see a problem in herself and that is the first step. Later that night, her brother calls me at 1 a.m. He wants to talk, so I had to sneak out of the house because I know if she knew I was talking to him she would flip her lid. I told him everything. He was pissed and shocked. He said that she painted me to be a villain, a terrible husband that neglected her and did not do my duties as a man. He knew better though, because the STBXW forgets that he knows her even better than I do. He knows me too. I told him there are definitely things I could do to improve, but those things do not constitute divorce. They are only meaning to validate her cheating. We spoke about her childhood, her ex, her self-medication, her anger. I told him she needs help. From the bottom of my heart, even if this marriage ends, watch her closely because she needs help. He knows there is nothing that we can do but to pray and put it in God's hands. God is the only one who can help my STBX and she has forsaken him. She is searching for happiness and she will always be searching because she never will truly be happy. I was asked if there is anything that could change in order for us to reconcile. I said if she accepted God in her life and went to therapy, I would try. I said try though, there is nothing I can guarantee. I do not have any hope for R, but I do have a little hope for her now. God, I wish I could help her. She has to be the one to change. I cannot do this. All I can do is focus on my daughter, my faith, and myself. It is all I have left. I have to let her go, but I just feel like I am giving up on her. How did you deal with that? My comment, second part coming today. Appreciate the kind words from the comments from previous videos and see you in part 2.
Alright, everyone's presentations are done. Nick, the manager, said as he tried to move the discussion forward. Excuse me, I haven't. I recently found out something. Nick interrupted me and began to speak. There's apparently someone in this department who didn't graduate high school and is just a part-timer. Meetings should be for employees only. Absolutely right. His lackey, Mike, of course, agreed with Nick. I'm leaving. After leaving the meeting room, I started to shut down my computer. I noticed that an email had arrived, not in my personal inbox, but in the company's shared email. Thinking, there's no point in speaking up, no one will listen, I went home quietly. The next day, I heard a commotion from Nick's desk. He was staring at his computer screen, his face pale. Nick! Is something wrong? Mike looked at the screen with him. And he turned even paler than Nick. Why is he so angry? Knowing the reason for Mike's distress, I thought to myself, serves them right. My name is Adam. My mother passed away when I was in the 9th grade, and I was raised by my father. Well, you could hardly call it being raised. After my mother passed, my father changed. He drowned his sorrows in alcohol, and though he still went to work, he squandered our living expenses on horse racing. Because of that, I had to start working part-time as soon as I entered high school. Every month, I went to the convenience store with bills in hand that couldn't be auto-deducted from my father's account. Even though I endured it because I didn't want to be alone, I reached my limit in my second year of high school and dropped out. I found a live-in job at a distant inn. Thank you for everything. The day I left home, my father, still staring at the TV, spoke. Take care. That was our last conversation. Back then, 18 wasn't the age of majority, so I needed my father's permission to work, and I couldn't hide my place of employment. Yet, my father never visited me even once. I kept working just to survive, and before I knew it, I was 42. Years of hard work paid off, and I was transferred to the headquarters. I was thrilled to be recognized by the company, as I thought I'd be working in the field until retirement due to my lack of formal education. Listen up. Our work can change the future of our employees. Don't drag us down. On my first day after the transfer, Nick, dressed in an expensive suit, spoke sternly. There was a reason for this. Our inn was located in a prominent tourist destination, known so well that everyone in the state could sing its commercial jingle. At its peak, we had 5 locations within the state. But that was long ago. Due to financial difficulties and aging facilities, only the place where I had worked for many years and the original establishment remained. I was prepared to lose my job anytime, but now there was a glimmer of hope. With the rise of social media, the tourist area where the inn was located started gaining attention again. Depending on how hard the sales department, where I was transferred, worked, we could either thrive or be forced to give up this prime location to the new hotel chains continuously popping up. For Nick, who had switched careers from another industry to strengthen our sales, this was a battle he couldn't afford to lose. I understood why he had to be strict. I will do my best. Nick sneered at my enthusiastic declaration. Did you not hear what I said? I'm sorry. I thought I was listening carefully. Out of habit from years of customer service, I apologized reflexively, though I had no idea what had offended him. Someone was watching me with a smirk. In this department, there are those who are expected to excel and those who have been shoved here because they have nowhere else to go. You are the latter. It was Mike, the section chief. He's 7 years younger, at 35. But he was called to headquarters much earlier than I was and had been moving around within the headquarters ever since. I'm not jealous, but I can't accept that he's my boss. Graduating from a prestigious university, he has an unusually high pride and caused many problems as a newbie, making things very difficult for me when I was the front desk leader. When I found out Mike was transferred to the sales department a month before me, I was disheartened. Mike is right. With just a middle school diploma, there's not much you can do. Don't even think about achieving results. As if I didn't exist, Nick remarked, I'm thirsty. Mike eagerly ran to the coffee maker. It seems Mike is Nick's lackey. I regretted being happy about my transfer to headquarters, wishing I had stayed on site forever. Send a direct mail to every company on this list by the end of the day. Nick only assigned me tasks that even a new graduate could handle. What? There are over 1,000 companies. You want me to send to all of them by today? Yes, if you and your fellow misfits split the work, even those with nowhere else to go should finish by today. I glanced at the employees typing away expressionlessly. They were worn out from customer service, only thinking about leaving on time, or were women reassigned after having children. With zero motivation for work. Even Sam, a new graduate from the same university as Mike, who was supposed to be among the expected achievers, had no enthusiasm for the job. Having joined the company wanting to do customer service. I don't care what they say, I plan to quit anytime, he said. Only Nick and Mike were highly motivated, making all the decisions between the two of them. I originally only wanted to work at the inn to survive and had no particular attachment to this job. I swallowed my words, thinking I had no right to reprimand them. About a month after the transfer, Nick told us with a frustrated look. To commemorate the 50th anniversary, we've decided to create a plan exclusive for one group per day. Originally, Mike and I were supposed to come up with it, but our president, Mr. Thompson, insists on hearing everyone's opinions. So, you all get a chance. As Nick explained, Mike began handing out prints. Make sure not to embarrass Nick. If your ideas are half-baked, you'll have to redo them. It seemed that they had printed his handwritten notes by Mr. Thompson, which included several questions and a section for free responses. It made sense why Nick had to seek our input, given that all responses had to be submitted to Mr. Thompson. We were given a week to think about it, and a meeting was scheduled to compile our ideas. My plan is to let guests enjoy both the old and modern America. Nick began the presentations. Guests would watch a master confectioner at a nearby traditional sweet shop make sweets in front of them. The welcome drink would be premium tea in a bottle. Nick's plan was certainly attractive. After his presentation, Nick called on us to present in the order we were seated. Just as I stood up for my turn. All right, everyone's presentations are done. Excuse me, I haven't. I recently found out something. Nick interrupted me. There's someone in this department who didn't graduate high school and is just a part-timer. He was likely talking about me. I joined the company as a part-timer and was made a full-time employee when I turned 20. That was 20 years ago, so Nick and Mike probably had no chance to know until recently. Meetings should be for employees only. Absolutely right. After that, Nick kept creating opportunities to solicit everyone's opinions, purposefully excluding me from speaking. The meeting unexpectedly heated up and went past the scheduled end time. A few people asked to leave, and the discussion continued with the remaining few. Still here? Normally, you'd leave in that situation. Though I had no attachment to the job initially, hearing kind words from customers made me want to make them happier. For someone like me, with nowhere to go, the inn was my home and customer service was my life. I felt pathetic about my current self. I'm leaving. I left the conference room and started shutting down my computer. I noticed an email had arrived, not in my personal inbox, but in the company's shared email. Thinking no one would listen to what I had to say anyway, I quietly went home. The next day, while preparing the DM as instructed, I heard a commotion from Nick's desk. In his haste to stand up, he hit his knee on the desk. He stared at his computer screen, his face pale. Nick! What's wrong? Mike, thinking he should be the first to rush over, approached Nick while still wearing his coat. He peered at the screen with Nick. And he turned even paler than Nick. Why is he so angry? Who is responsible for this company? Nick, more irritated than ever, asked, and Mike answered without checking. Probably Sam. Sam wasn't there because he was attending a morning training session for new hires. Nick gave up on getting angry and returned his gaze to the screen. They were looking at an email that arrived right after the end of the working day yesterday. Apparently, no one, including me, had checked it before leaving. The email was from a large company that used us for their annual employee trips. The president and executives of that company also frequently used our services personally. President of the company, Mr. Mason himself, had declared that neither he nor his company would ever use our services again. Well, some companies cancel their employee trips or stop using our services due to financial struggles. Let's just move on. Mike kept wiping the sweat from his forehead with a handkerchief. Knowing why Mike was so agitated, I quietly watched their interaction. Do you know how much revenue we get from that company? We can find other guests to fill the rooms, but we'll lose the banquet costs, gift shop revenue, rental car fees, and more. Moreover, the gifts were supposed to be prepared by the traditional confectionery shop involved in Nick's proposed plan. If it's known that we incurred such a huge loss at this critical time, Nick's position in the company would be jeopardized. Nick took a deep breath, seemingly trying to calm himself. All right, Mike. Go to New York right now and apologize to Mr. Mason. What? You're coming with me, right? I have urgent work to do. I trust you, which is why I'm entrusting this to you. Please. Mike, believing Nick's sincerity, agreed with a determined look on his face, saying, yes. That's Nick for you. Even if Mike went to apologize, Nick would shift all the blame onto him if the client didn't change their mind. Well, it was Mike's fault to begin with, so it served him right. About 3 hours later, Sam answered a call from somewhere and repeatedly apologized, saying, I'm very sorry. Everyone watched to see what was happening. After ending the call, he informed Nick with a weary tone. When Mike arrived at the client's company, he only made things worse, further infuriating Mr. Mason. He was demanding, get his boss here immediately. It was no wonder Sam was exhausted, dealing with such a call right after returning from training. What is that idiot doing? All right, Adam, you're coming with me. If sacrificing Mike didn't work, then I must be next. Normally, I'd want to refuse at all costs, but I saw an opportunity in this situation. If I can be of assistance, I'd be happy to join you. I immediately followed Nick, and we flew to New York. When we introduced ourselves at the reception, it became clear how serious the situation was, as the receptionist personally escorted us to the president's office. Angry voices leaked through the door, making both Nick and me uneasy. Excuse me. I'm Nick, the supervisor. I understand my subordinate has caused you trouble, and I deeply apologize. Nick, with his experience in the corporate world, knew enough to offer an apology before excuses. However, his customer service skills left much to be desired. I sighed as I saw Mike trembling like a small dog in the corner of the room. What kind of training are you giving your subordinates? Mr. Mason glared at Nick with a red face. The intensity of his gaze made even Nick take a step back. Regrettably, I joined this company only 2 years ago and was unaware of Mike's issues. I should have identified his shortcomings sooner. Indeed. I should have realized sooner. No sensible person would come to apologize and then give a lengthy presentation on the drawbacks of not using their in. Nick froze, his mouth slightly open. Suspecting the worst, I picked up the documents that had fallen to the floor. It seemed Mike hastily prepared these documents on the plane, listing the disadvantages. Disadvantage 1: if you change the venue for the company trip, employees might suspect it's for cost-cutting reasons, leading to a negative impression. Reading it aloud half-jokingly, Nick snatched the papers from my hand and checked the contents with a furious expression. Among the stack of documents was a receipt from a nearby convenience store's copy machine. I felt a pang of dread, hoping he hadn't shown the receipt as well. What do you think he said when I asked what kind of nerve he had to do this? I'm very sorry. Faced with the dire situation, Nick must have thought there was nothing left to do but apologize. In a voice smaller than I'd ever heard from him, he uttered words of apology. He said, I'm a Harvard graduate. I don't believe I said anything wrong. Mike! What have you done? Forgetting his plan to pin the blame on Mike, Nick yelled loudly, even in front of Mr. Mason. I didn't do anything wrong. You're still saying that? Look at him. Mike pointed at me with a shaking hand. I was assigned to headquarters in my 20s and now I'm a section chief. This guy only made it to headquarters at 42. Everything I've done proves I was right. So why are we losing the contract? Having said his piece, Mike collapsed to the floor. Of course. You were sent there because you had nowhere else to go. Mike never expected to hear such words from someone he looked down upon. He lunged at me, and Nick hurriedly stepped in to stop him. Mr. Thompson told me Mike is a quick thinker, and to take good care of him. There's no way he was pushed aside. Don't make things worse here. He didn't say quick thinker, he said only quick-witted, didn't he? I don't remember that part. I recalled the many troubles Mike caused when he was a newbie. When Mike was on the front line, his pride was so high that he never apologized to customers. Customer service, especially in our job, doesn't work alone. It brings both good and bad situations. If the front staff or housekeepers made mistakes, or the cleaning company didn't properly clean a room, one had to apologize to the customers regardless of personal fault. Mike, in such situations, would never apologize, insisting he wasn't at fault. This often angered customers, and as the front desk leader, I frequently had to apologize on his behalf. He caused complaints and disrupted operations, which is why he was quickly moved to headquarters. In departments where he didn't interact directly with customers, his quick thinking was beneficial and things went well. But it seemed his flaws were starting to show. Corporate reservations are supposed to be entered into the system by the sales representative. But a quick check yesterday revealed that more than 10 items were missing from the client's reservation. The handover document clearly stated what needed to be prepared. Why didn't you enter it into the system? Why do we have to give them special treatment? Filling rooms near the banquet hall, setting up all the food in advance. Specifying the brand of wine, they're too demanding. No wonder he always angered customers, I thought, feeling a headache coming on. Grouping them in rooms near the banquet hall is for our benefit too. It makes it easier for the staff to set up beds and serve breakfast since everyone's schedule is synchronized. As for the other requests, Mr. Mason suggested them to lighten our load. I didn't know that. Nick finally seemed to realize that Mike was the one who had angered the client. What did you say to them? I just told them we wouldn't give them special treatment anymore. We shouldn't waste effort on things that don't bring in money. I was utterly exasperated at his lack of understanding of customer service. Of course, we shouldn't comply with unreasonable demands. But carrying over successful practices from past stays makes customers feel remembered and enhances their experience. Good memories encourage repeat visits. That's part of our job. I looked down at Mike, who was sitting on the floor. In our job, nothing is a waste. Mr. Thompson likely moved you to the sales department, hoping you'd finally understand this. How do you think he feels now that you've failed to meet his expectations? Mike, tears in his eyes, fled the president's office. I was amazed he still hadn't apologized. You have it tough, Adam. It's okay, we're all employees of the same company. I deeply apologize for this disrespectful incident. Especially after all the care you've shown us. If it weren't for you, Adam, I really would have stopped staying here. When I heard you were moving to the sales department, I was willing to reconsider if you handled it. Seeing us talk so amicably, Nick's face contorted. Do you two know each other? Adam's service is excellent. I always requested him specifically. Normally, we don't accept specific staff requests, but we made an exception for Mr. Mason, adjusting my shifts accordingly. He had personally stayed at our hotel just before my transfer, and during casual conversation, I mentioned, I'm moving to the sales department soon. If I hadn't told him then, things could have been much worse. Please continue to take care of us. I look forward to it. On the return flight, Nick awkwardly offered me a can of beer. It's still working hours. Of course, I had no intention of forgiving him for a single beer. Nick might try to pin everything on Mike and avoid any consequences. While pondering this, a startling fact came to light. Nick, the tea bottles for the plan have arrived. I handed Nick a bottle labeled with our inn's name. They look good. What are you talking about? These are plastic bottles. I had assumed we would use the trendy, high-end bottling tea. But what arrived were ordinary plastic bottles of tea with customized labels. The only unique aspect was the label, which had the inn's name, making it look customized. Upon further investigation, I discovered that a substantial amount of money was set to be paid to the tea company. It was priced like bottling tea. Does this plastic bottle really cost $100 each? The tea inside is specially blended for us. The extra cost is for that. Wouldn't it be better to use another tea company? Or is there a specific reason we must use this one? As Nick continued to make excuses, I showed him a printed email. I informed the tea company's president, Mr. Mitchell, that we discovered irregular payments and he confessed. He said you two were high school classmates and planned to split the extra money. That idiot. Why did he confess? That's not important. You should worry about yourself, this could turn into a police matter. Opening the bottle cap, I suggested. How about calming down with this tea? It supposedly has a relaxing effect. Nick drank the tea frantically. In the following days, decisions were made about their fates. Mike was reassigned to the General Affairs Department, with no chance of transfer or promotion, as per Mr. Thompson's orders. As for Nick, since the payment to the tea company hadn't yet been made, he narrowly avoided legal trouble. Instead, he was encouraged to leave the company, and to avoid further complications, Nick submitted his resignation. Rumor has it that connections between HR departments have made it difficult for him to find new employment. Even though it was good to have those two gone, something unexpected happened in the sales department. Everyone became motivated and united in refining the 50th anniversary plan. In the end, my plan was adopted. We collaborated with the Tourist Information Center to provide personalized guides. The plan, tailored to the number of guests, was truly special for the 50th anniversary. Hey, is Adam's family coming to stay? I immediately booked that special plan for my family. Sam noticed it on the reservation list and quickly picked up on it. Yes, I'm inviting my father. That's great. I might invite my parents too. I lacked the courage to face my father just as Adam. But here, with the confidence Mr. Mason praised, I felt ready. The 50th anniversary plan was a perfect opportunity to reconnect with my father. I hoped to bring back the days when we could laugh together as we once did.